Pomysł na sekcję Życie pod nadzorem wziął się z misji Fundacji Panoptykon, z pracy, którą wykonujemy na co dzień, pracy, której celem jest właśnie pokazanie, w jaki sposób informacja o ludziach stała się narzędziem władzy, które to narzędzie wymknęło się spod kontroli samych ludzi. Naszą misją jest pokazać, jak można to odwrócić i uczynić z tej informacji narzędzie, które ludziom służy. Więc staramy się wybierać filmy, które z jednej strony pokazują problem, dokumentują tą negatywną zmianę, ale z drugiej też pokazują pewne wyłomy, pewne momenty nadziei. Mamy w tej sekcji film Facebookistan, pokazujący ciemną stronę Facebooka. Mamy też film Demokracja Davida Berneta, film o ochronie danych w Unii Europejskiej.
Many people say data is the new oil, the oil of the 21st century. If you think about how oil has transformed our lives, data is going to do the same thing.
Ludzie muszą rozumieć, co nie działa, żeby zacząć czuć, że chcą to zmienić. I w tym kontekście filmy dokumentalne są bezcenne. I takim filmem na pewno jest Dobry Amerykanin. To jest oczywiście historia tego, jak można chronić ludzi, nie naruszając ich praw.
They're taking data on every US citizen in the country. That's not compatible with a democracy. It's like the Stasi on super steroids.
This entire story started with Edward Snowden, because at the time when Edward Snowden came out, I had been working on a film project, the film about the extent of surveillance, about the panorama of surveillance, and I thought the best way to tell this story would be through a personal story of somebody who had been in this environment for, starting in the Cold War and going up to the digital age. And Bill Binney was on top of my list.
Everything is human behavior. Human behavior is extremely patterned.
The title, A Good American, how much do you identify with the title after everything that happened? Do you still feel today that your whistleblowing and your work for NSA, both these steps were good for the country, and how much you identify with your own country at that point?
Well, I think it simply means to me a citizen of the United States that's standing up to defend the Constitution and the rights of individuals, not just of U.S. citizens. That's for everybody, and it applies to everybody. Those are human rights that we put into our Constitution.
You use strong terms, corruption, treason. From that perspective of the failure that happened inside NSA, how much you believe that governments, not only American but any other government, is able to control its secret services, giving them so much power and so much money in the first place?
There is no government in the world that has any control, absolute control over what their intelligence agencies do.
There are threats to our societies. There are enemies that we have. And we need intelligence agencies who are working to protect us from these enemies and from these threats. But this should never be at the cost of the substance of what our society is built upon. This should never be at the cost of freedom. This should never be at the cost of our liberties, of human rights.
And so the point is there are ways to do it. We've suggested that. We're going to post those on the website too. But they're already on the internet. But there are ways to make that happen and make it verifiable. And that's what every country really needs, to have a verification process of what their intelligence agencies are doing. Because right now, they don't really know.
To me, this movie is not as much about data collection and these things. To me, it's about a crisis of morality.
This story is the story of corruption that actually changed history.
It's a real honor to have you here. I'm so glad that there are such people in the world. That makes me more optimistic. My question is, if in current state of democracy that we have now, is it possible to fix it somehow?
You've got the vote to fire these people. I mean, all you have to do is stand up and start speaking against it.
One of the important messages that I want to bring across with this film was, first of all, technologically there is an alternative to mass surveillance that really works and really finds terrorists, contrary to mass surveillance that is not finding terrorists. And the second thing is, it is possible to fix it.
This is just the beginning of the fight. We are not giving up yet. We are now taking the attack into the United States, and we'll continue to go after these people for what they've done. Thank you.